It is an honor to host Tammy Durden. Tammy, a seasoned entrepreneur of 16 years, thrives on empowering online women solopreneurs to build businesses aligned with their lifestyles. Despite facing challenges due to multiple sclerosis, she crafted a business to accommodate her needs, homeschooling 3 children and serving in ministry while coaching from bed when necessary. Personalized one-on-one coaching and mastermind group programs, Tammy elevates clients to new heights, imparting invaluable insights on pricing strategies, processes, and marketing for sustainable success. Gentlemen, with a rousing ovation, please make welcome Tammy Durden.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I have Tammy online with us. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, evening, or wherever it is. I mean, for anybody that is joining us, depending on the time zone that you are. I mean, it's so exciting to have you join us today. We've been we've been looking at having this conversation for quite some time, and finally, we are here. But I know we've just gone through your profile and we have an idea of who you are, but we'd like to hear from what we call the horse's mouth. So please talk to us. Who exactly is Tammy? Talk to us about
that. Hi, Shay. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we have been trying to organize it for a little while, so I'm glad we finally got to connect and hopefully connect our audiences too, because I know your presentations are great. So as you said, I'm Tammy Durden. I own Fearless Business Boss Coaching Company. I'm a business coach who loves to empower other online service entrepreneurs to have a business or build a business, grow a business that fits their lifestyle rather than trying to squeeze a life around your business. And I love helping people do that.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for that. Now, that's amazing. Now, you've kind of shared very briefly about, who you are, which is fantastic. Thank you. But can you share a bit about your journey as an entrepreneur, right? We know you are an entrepreneur right now, particularly how you navigated the challenges, because we know you had some challenges earlier in your career, how you navigated the challenges of balancing your business with your personal commitments, such as, I know at some point, you had to homeschool your children, managing your health condition. So speak to us about that journey. Some people may not understand the challenges it is that we're talking about. So speak to us about that journey.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Well, over 20, maybe 25 years now, I was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and then later with lupus and some other autoimmunes. They like to come in pairs or triplets. And so I had to learn to navigate. My youngest wasn't even in kindergarten yet. And we had to learn what we call a new normal, a new way of life, because I became disabled right away. And so I had to learn how to navigate that, first of all, and the children. And then when I began homeschooling them, that was a whole nother thing. And when we moved to Virginia, we were fortunate enough to be able to purchase a home. So my husband's in ministry, and you don't get into ministry for the money. And so we could use some additional family income. My background had been in accounting, but I began helping an insurance agent actually with lead generation and virtual assistant work. And then when I realized it was a business, I built actually a VA agency because I wanted to empower other disabled professionals to work from home, because here I was homeschooling, trying to build a business in all of those things. So being able to bring on a team was essential. And then eventually we transitioned to a digital marketing agency because that's what our clients needed and were asking for. And I actually started teaching online courses with a big freelance platform, as well as began coaching because people were asking for it. And then in 2020, at the end of that, just running the agency became too much. So I exited and just worked on the coaching business full time. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I love my clients, and it's been great.
Oh, wow. It's inspiring to hear your story. The kind of thing that you went through, some people would have gone through such scenarios and would have given up entirely, would have packed up and all of that. But you were able to rise above all those challenges. That's so very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and I hope someone is as inspired as I am about that as well. So now you talked about how you had to go through multiple sclerosis and some other conditions as well. Now, so how did that experience, shape your approach to your entrepreneurship? You're an entrepreneur. You talked about how you started off and then where it is now. At some point you even had to focus more on the coaching and training now. So how did that condition you went through, how did it shape your entrepreneurship, and how did it help you structure your business, your life? And like you rightly said, you had to homeschool your children at some point. How did that help you structure that? We'd like to know about that. Please talk to us about that.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I think you have to find something to fight for, right? So for me, besides my faith, it was my family. I woke up every day to fight for that and didn't give up because I could still see my husband, my children. In the beginning, we didn't know what it was, if it was a tumor, if I was going to not make it, all of these things, because it looks like you're dying. So I think in the end, if you find something to really propel you, to really believe in, to really give you that extra strength, the reason for what you're doing, right? And the same is true in business. What is that big why everybody talks about? What is the why? What is the reason you're doing it? And then for me, even as I began homeschooling and all of these other challenges, that building that team of other empowered disabled professionals became a big part of that why, right? And it just continued to give me strength, and it gave me joy to see them excel and to see them working. Many had never worked before. And so it was just such joy in that. And then each step of the way, I received strength from clients, and the encouragement, that they loved the work we were providing and all of those things. And then eventually, though, the managing everything got to be too much, of course. And that's when I kind of exited it. And now my children are absolutely grown and out of the house and thriving. And I have grandchildren. So, but I would say the biggest thing, especially with health challenges or other things and you're ready to give up, just really find that thing that you can believe in and know that you're on the right path.
Wow, that is amazing. And you talked about your why, understanding your why. So I can imagine that while you were going through all of those challenges, one thing that stuck out for you was what is the why, and that's what kept you going. And right now, like you said, your children are all grown. Now you even have grandchildren. That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. Now, we talked about it in your conversation there that you are a coach, right? A business coach. Now, as a coach, you focus on empowering women entrepreneurs. So could you share, first of all, some of the successes it is that you've had in that coaching line in the past, and maybe, some challenges that you've observed? Because this webinars are essentially for women, which is an area that you play in a lot. So tell us some of the successes that you've experienced, and then maybe some challenge that you've observed amongst women in particular, as women entrepreneurs, or generally in their careers and all of that. Can you talk to us about that, please?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, some of the things that I've seen and been able to help, I, have clients who are trying to build an agency and trying to bring on a team. And so I help walk them through the ABCs and, how to start and what the best practices are, where to find good team members, because that's a huge thing for many people and it's a big turnover for many people. So finding the right person to be on your team, all of those things, I help the clients with. I've had clients who become, really successful in that and enjoy having that team member. And then I've also helped startups who don't know, they're stuck or they don't know where to go, or they haven't had anybody come alongside them. I like to say virtual hand holding is included in my services. So, from startup to growth and to scaling, whatever mode they're in, I love to help that. And some of the challenge, I think, specifically for women, is we hold back too much sometimes. We don't want to step into that risk area, and we're, sometimes a little fearful, a little too fearful, or we're not consistent in what we're doing because we have so many challenges, trying to raise a family, trying to do other things and still run a business. And so often I see the inconsistencies or that they're not doing the things that I know will help them. Those are the challenges, and just coming alongside them, encouraging them. I think it's, really funny when a client will say a year or so later, "Oh, I'm starting to do this and I see the difference. Now I know what you mean." And it's just rewarding to see them thrive and to be excited and to grow. I've had a client recently who really struggled with getting a new website up, and I knew she needed it. And I just kept encouraging her, in that way. And she finally, just recently, published it in March, and we were celebrating. It was so exciting for her to do that. So yeah, I just think women sometimes just hold back too much in business. They don't do all in because we're so pulled in so many directions.
And that's really very valid that we talked about. I mean, a lot of women hold back. So ladies, you're out there, if you're listening, Tammy's saying to you right now, quit holding back, get out there and do it and be you. I mean, that's really amazing. A lot of people are holding back, and we're hoping that with this, they will be challenged. I mean, you have your own challenges as well, but rightly said, yeah, you have the family to take care of, you have work and all of that, but you're holding back. There's so much more capacity inside of you, and you can do a lot more than what it is that you're doing. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, we're having a wonderful conversation here. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, just drop them in the comments. I'm taking a look at those, and I will try to take those in the course of our conversation. Now, the topic of what we're talking about today is scaling by outsourcing. So please talk to us about why do you think it is important for us to outsource, why it is a crucial business decision? Because some people might feel, why do I need to outsource? I mean, why can't I keep this to myself? Maybe save costs or whatever. What are your experiences, or what would you have to say to people that are thinking in that direction? Why do we need to outsource? First of all, why is scaling important? And then why do we need to outsource in the process of scaling?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I think we have to have our priorities, right? And for women who have multiple challenges, whether it's they're working full time and trying to do this on the side, or whether they have, children and other things that are going on in their lives, scaling is a way to keep your priorities straight, to be honest. Because when you can scale by outsourcing and have somebody else come alongside you to help you, it's a huge thing because it really takes a lot off your plate. Now, I recommend scaling by giving the team member a client. So the client work, not just your work. You can eventually do that, but otherwise, and I always recommend as they get a new client, do it, because it's harder to take away the money in the beginning. But as you grow and get new clients, it's much easier then to share the work. But I think you have to make sure you have your priorities straight. You have to know you're ready to scale, and then begin doing it and looking for the right person. So, and there's a number of ways that you can know you're ready, honestly. First of all, you have to think, can you accept new clients? Are you having trouble accepting new clients? Are you at capacity? Do you want to add more services? Maybe, but you can't because you just can't add anything else. Or a service that your clients are asking for, but you don't do. We eventually added graphic design because clients needed logos and branding and other things. And so that's not something I did, but I wanted to supply it for my clients. So we added that. And then if you're not having any time with family or feel like it's really stretched, or, you're hearing complaints, maybe you're running late on deliverables. That's a biggie. And if you're starting to run late on deliverables, that can affect your whole business, your reviews, everything. And it can really just be a difficult transition after that. And then when we all know that we have to work not in our business, but on it in order to succeed. And until you get to the place where you outsource some of that and build your virtual team, it's going to be very difficult to get to the place where you're working on your business regularly and able to do that. And so there are many reasons to outsource, but those are just a few of the reasons that I have found in online service providers and entrepreneurs.
Wow, those are very valuable tips you've talked about there, giving us, you've talked about why it is important for us to outsource. And you've talked about it. I mean, some people are at the point where they're beginning to draw back or fall back on the deliverables and all of that. When you get to that point, you should know, okay, this is time for you to outsource and all of that, which is very, very valuable. So just in case someone is listening right now and they are convinced, okay, I think it's actually important for me to scale, and I think I should begin to think of outsourcing. But they're at the point where they feel, I don't know how to do this. What should I do? How should I go about this? What would you say to such a person? Can you give, is there a sort of guideline you can recommend or steps that they could take to ensure that they outsource effectively? Because some people could go ahead and go into outsourcing and it's negative or it's detrimental to the business. So what is the right way to do this? Please talk to us about this.
Well, I think it does take a number of steps. Of course, I think if you have somebody alongside you, it goes much easier and much quicker. But if you're just going to start yourself to try and outsource, make sure that you're going to a reputable person. Make sure they have good reviews. Look them up on Google even. And because the website says they have testimonials, you want to make sure other places have good reviews. Also, there are some great places to look for people. One of those is freelanceu.com, has a great directory, and those are people who are still always upgrading their skills. So they're teachable, they're willing to learn and all of those things. So they'll come alongside you to learn what you do and to learn it your way. The other thing I would say, make sure you have I can't stress this enough, your processes and systems documented in some way so that when you bring on somebody and you need to ask them to do one of your tasks, you have that documented, whether it's client work or your work, you have it documented, whether it be through video, through a Word document or Google document, whatever it is, make sure it's documented because yes, you might train them one day on your systems, but they may not remember all of that. And so they need something to go back to and fall back on. So make sure that you have that. That's a big, big key. And one of the other things that I chose to do, and it depends on if you're going to be hiring multiple virtual professionals, or if you're just going to start with one thing. And that's really what I recommend when you're starting. But if you know you're going to need more than one eventually, what I suggest is asking people, find people who are used to subcontracting for others. In other words, they don't want to market their own business. They have their own business, but they don't want to be always marketing and things like that. They want to stay back, and be able to help other service providers and subcontract, because those are the people that are going to have longevity with you. Whereas if you get a new, let's say, virtual assistant, for example, and they're just starting, they'll be great. They'll learn all of that, but you're going to have to pay them a little bit less than they would be able to make on their own, of course, because you have to charge the client too. So when they start really rolling, then they're going to be making more on their own and want to leave you. So just be careful with that and make sure you find people who are willing to be with you in the long run as well. And that's just a little tip that I learned. It took me a number of years to learn that. So hopefully that'll help you out there.
Wow, those are some very, very valuable tips that you've kind of mentioned there, and that's important. I mean, exactly what you're talking about. I also run a business, right? And with the nature of my business, I also outsource a number of things. I have a virtual team. Many of them I've never met before. I was talking, I'm just beginning to think about all of these things. So these are very, very important aspects of what it is that we're doing. But one thing a lot of people might be concerned about, so for example, my personal self, one of our core values as an organization is excellence. You want to ensure that you deliver on excellence at everything that you do. Now, how do you get to maintain? Because as the team begins to expand, different people have different ways of doing things and all of that. So how do you get to ensure that that level of excellence or the quality of delivery or whatever that you have is sustained across board? And just in case maybe someone has gone into a situation where you're noticing that the quality or the standard of the delivery is dropping, how would you recommend they go through such a situation as well?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I recommend that you onboard properly. So you make sure you have a contract, you make sure that you have onboarding processes in place where they can easily onboard. The other thing I recommend is a project management system, because within that system, and you set it up, for each client or each project, however you want to do it, but you can have conversations within that on the deliverables. Instead of emails back and forth all the time, which gets a little, stressful sometimes. The other thing is, I always set them up with a professional email. So like it always had my company email. So they got their name with my company email, and it was more professional that way. Plus I got CC'd on everything. So and after a while, who you need to look at and who you don't. But unless there's a real issue, then you get involved, if they're working with clients. So over time, you learn to trust that process and really set it up in a way that it's just easy and automatic, basically. And it takes a while, but you get there. And so just make sure you're using good systems to set them up in.
Very, very valuable tips. I mean, my own notes are full as well, because like I said, I also run a business and I have a lot of, but one thing someone might be wondering is, okay, what part of my business should I outsource? Can I outsource every aspect of the business? What part should I outsource? And how do I know this can be outsourced and this shouldn't be outsourced? I should be able to do this myself. Can you walk us through that? What would you recommend in such a scenario?
Well, first of all, you do need to outsource or get help eventually, because you can't do it all, because you're not going to grow. I saw over and over again with many clients, they flatline after a while. And that's what happens with the business if you do not take the next steps. It seems risky sometimes, but it's worth it, because taking those next steps will help you get to the next level. Otherwise, you're just going to flatline, not be able to grow any further. So make sure you're doing that. And also, now remind me of the question, because I started with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, I was asking about how to identify what part of your business to outsource and what part of your business to keep to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And I actually have on my free offer is a scale your business checklist. And on there, it goes through some processes that you can do where you kind of grade it and grade your tasks to see which ones you want to outsource. But the basic premise is, if it's something you really dislike doing, when I interview new prospective team members, I ask them this question: what do you hate doing and would be very love not ever doing again? And what do you love doing and would do all day long if you could? Because I didn't want them blogging and writing for somebody if they hate to write, and if they love social media, that's where I want them, or vice versa, So in the checklist, you can actually go through and decide, okay, what are the things that I really dislike doing? And what are the things that I'm not really good at? Because as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, we take on a lot of things and we may not be good at many of them. We're good at the one thing that we love and do well, but there are other things that we're doing that we're probably not doing very well. And it would be worth paying somebody else to do. Maybe you're a solopreneur and you just despise having to post on social media. So that's a real job for you. And it probably takes you 2 to 3 times longer than it would take somebody if you hired them. And so you're going to actually pay them less than what your hourly rate would be if you did it, right? So you have to consider those things as well. Like, how long does it take me to do this? And think about your hourly rate and multiply that out. And then say, okay, well, I probably would pay somebody else less to do that task. So, as I said, I do have a checklist that you can grade yourself, but those are the big considerations to think about and to kind of grade it according to what you dislike, what you don't do well, and take one task at a time when you first start.
I think that's a very, very interesting checklist that we've talked about. Like you said, and we'll talk about how people can access that checklist that you've mentioned. But what you like to do, what you don't like to do, what you hate to do. There are certain activities that I hate to do myself. Some people just hate the social media thing. Like you rightly said, as a solopreneur, you're everything. You're the marketing manager, you're the operations manager, you're everything. And you tend to do everything, even though you don't like to do everything. You're the accountant and all of that. So at some point, you need to start outsourcing a number of all those things. And to be honest, in my own personal business as well, a lot of these things have been outsourced. With some part of the accounting is outsourced now. Some part of the operations are outsourced and all of that. So there are a lot of things that are being outsourced in the business as well. So that, like you also mentioned, what is your own hourly rate, right? If you can get someone else to do that thing for you, probably even better and cheaper for you, then why do you need to bother yourself to do that? Get someone. But the thing is, many people struggle at that point because you're thinking of, why do I need to spend money to get someone else to do this? But what you don't realize is spending that money to get someone else to do it will free you up to be able to do a lot more for the whole business, which is very important.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Now, a lot of people like to hear success story. So is there any success story from maybe yourself or maybe some of the clients that you've worked with that have been able to scale their business as a result of outsourcing that you could share with us? Some people will not believe until they hear stories like this. Please talk to us about those.
Oh, yeah. I had a client who started out as a virtual assistant, quite like myself, and began to get into online course management, so she would begin to start that. And then she also started some digital marketing and everything else. And, trying to convince her that she was now a digital marketer was difficult. I wanted her to change the name from VA to digital marketer. And she was ready to bring on a team. And it's just amazing because now they've had some personal things they've gone through and moves and things like that. But because she did add that team, she's now growing and has more time for family and stuff that she needs to do, especially in their move. And so it was really just a success all around because she got more time with her family and, less time in the business, more time working on the business and promoting it, right? And that's what we like to do. I also had I give away free mini sessions. And so I had an interesting one not a while back. And I was working with a gentleman who I thought we were going to network, but he really just wanted to get my input on some things. And so he went through, told me about everything, told me about his background and all of that. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, do you really want my opinion? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, and he was trying to do a certain kind of coaching. And I said, well, I think you should be doing this type of coaching, not the other. And he looked at me and he was just like, what? And I said, what do you think? And he's like, he was dumbfounded. And then he just goes, he was so blown away that in that moment, he got such clarity on what he needed to do. He's like, I'm signing up with you right now. Because he just got so much clarity. I tell people 20 minutes with a coach can be a lot of time because, they can really, I have a lot of intuitive insights sometimes, and it can really help get somebody unstuck, in those moments. And I really appreciated that because I thought it was so funny and just wonderful. And so we're working together now, and he is just one of those go-getters. Those dream clients that you love that do everything you say. And it's like you can't give them enough to do next. So I love that.
That's really amazing. And you touched on something very important there because, in the kind of space that I work in, I meet a lot of people as well. And some people have the mindset that, why do I need a coach? I can figure stuff out on my own. Just the same thing. Why do I need to pay extra for some of these things? Now, you kind of mentioned it briefly there, but I just wanted to talk about it just a little bit more. If someone is listening right now and they're wondering, why do I need a coach? I can figure out stuff myself. I've been trying to figure it out myself anyways. What would you say to such a person?
Well, first of all, even the most successful people out there have business coaches. So we all need a business coach, whether we're just starting or whether, we are super successful making millions. It's just something you should do. You can't be your own critic, your own brainstormer, your own, and you can't see outside of yourself most of all. Whereas, there's things we see, but other people see some of the other talents and things that we have, some of the natural abilities that we don't even realize we have sometimes. And so I find when I work with clients and I, just encourage them a little bit, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. There's so many things and so many moments in our coaching, just as that where they're suddenly like, oh, they get that moment. And you don't have that just working by yourself. You really don't. And even with accountability groups, it's not the same because they're not going to always tell you some of the other things and steps that you need to do in order to move forward. And that's what I think, coaching is all about: listening to your clients and helping them be empowered to move forward to the next needed steps in their journey.
Very, very valuable tips. Oftentimes I talk to people as well that even though, yes, I am a coach and I coach a lot about people, but I will have my own coaches as well, because like you rightly said, no matter how high it is to go up the ladder, there is someone that can help you get to the next level. I remember the conferences that have grown today when I moved into Ireland about a little over 2 years ago, and when I came in, a few months after I got in, and I was speaking to one of my coaches, and I said, I'm just new with the country. I've been trying to look for conferences where I could just go to, and I've not been able to find anything. And they just said to me, okay, so if you've been looking around for conferences like that and you haven't found anything, what does that say to you? And I'm like, okay, yes, what do you mean? Then go do one. And I'm like, hey, I've been here for just a couple of months. I said, why not? If you've been there for this month and you haven't found any conference like that, it means that, there's a lack of conferences. And that's why I reluctantly started the Impact Leadership Conferences in 2022. In 2023, we pushed it further. We went to 3 locations. We did London, Dublin, and Glasgow in 2023. And then this year, we're hosting it in 7 different locations. It might be 8, as a matter of fact. We're looking at even adding probably the US to it this year. And, a lot of things have changed in the business. I remember my marketing strategy as well. At some point, I got a marketing coach even though I had an MBA in marketing, but I wanted someone that had been, gone far ahead of me in that area. And I got a marketing coach. And one of the things, as at that time, I had never written. I hated writing. I was more about the videos and all of that, talking and all of that. I hated writing. And then this coach, she said to me, she gave me 2 weeks to write a book. She said to me, I know you have it in you can write a book and all of that, an ebook, write a book. And she gave me 2 weeks to do that. And I was challenged. Wow. And guess what? I wrote the book in 5 days. Started the book, wow. Finished, edited, designed the cover, did everything. I called her after 5 days and I said, guess what? The ebook is ready. And the ebook is available. Anybody that needs that. It's about 7 laws to accelerate growth, right? So those things I may not have been able to achieve, maybe not that quickly, if I didn't have coaches in my life as well. And yes. That's one of the things I say to people: you need a coach in your life. Now, I'm enjoying this conversation, but I know we need to gradually start bringing this home. But just what advice would you give to especially women or entrepreneurs in general who are hesitant or are unsure about outsourcing aspects of their business and all of that, or maybe if they should even be going into the business in the first place? What advice would you be giving to such people?
Well, first of all, I would tell them just book that 20 minutes. It might give them clarity. But second of all, I just think take it one step at a time. Really think about which task is going to be the first one, or which client you can give them if you have a new client coming on, those kinds of things. As entrepreneurs, our business is our baby. We don't always want to hand over aspects of it, right? And so delegating is a delicate task sometimes, and being able, so that's why I find getting rid of the tasks that you really dislike or aren't good at are the best ones to start with. And just start with one and you'll be surprised. just take that risk. I mean, I can even tell you a story about myself. Business had been down a little bit. And so I was going to stop my virtual assistant who helps me tremendously with social media and other aspects. And I decided, no, I am going to continue to have her because I know it helps me. And then within two to 3 weeks, I had another new client. So it just goes to show you, if I hadn't kept that, I would have been so busy doing other things. I wouldn't have been able to, put time into that relationship to develop it. So yeah, you just have to be available to do those things. And we only have certain, a max amount of time in a day, and it's pulled in 100 directions. So don't be afraid to outsource that one task, just that first task, and you'll be surprised.
There you go. Don't be afraid to outsource that one task. I'm a beneficiary of that. Every time I have expanded my team and outsourced a part of it, I have always been more productive, and to be honest, more business have come into our business in addition to what it is that we've been doing before. So I can tell you, it really does work. Now, but I've been rounding this up, right? Rounding this up. Imagine you woke up one morning, right, Tammy, and everything we knew about Tammy had disappeared. All the work it is you've done in the past, all the experience it is that you had, all your clients had disappeared. No one knew you, and you had to start to build your career or your business all over again. Where would you start from, and what are you going to do differently this time?
Quite honestly, I would have started with a team from the beginning instead of waiting years in when I thought I could afford it. I would have started right away outsourcing my clients to a team rather than wait until years later, because years later you're pulling from the income you have rather than starting out giving them a percentage of that income. And it's just, yeah, that's what I would say. And I would tell myself not to be afraid to take those risks, and that you can do it. You can talk online, you can speak in front of people, because I will tell you, speaking in front of people was one of my greatest fears. And, I have just been put out there so much. So telling myself that and believing in myself that I could teach courses, all of those things that I would have never thought I could do. Just believing in myself even more, probably.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's so very amazing. Thank you very, very much. You would have started off early. To be honest, I think I share the same sentiments. If I wish I had started off outsourcing a lot of my business, I probably would have even grown much bigger than it is right now. Thank you very much. Now, for those that are joining.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to add one other thing to that, Shay. Also, I would start blogging immediately on my website. That's the other thing I would say, because I get 60% of my traffic from Google because I do SEO blogging. So that's the other one little nugget I'll leave you with.
Thank you very much. And for those that are wondering exactly what she's talking about, what is SEO blogging and all of that, you can reach her later and probably figure out what exactly she's talking about. On YouTube, I see a number of people are joining us on YouTube. I see it. Is that Fatola Ayobami? It says, okay, he was echoing what it is you talked about. It says, don't be afraid to outsource that one task that is needed. Thanks for this. That's what he says. Thank you very much. And for anybody, if you have any questions or whatever, please don't be afraid to drop them. We will take them. But obviously, our conversation is rounded up now because we've had Tammy here for about a bit now. So Tammy, if anybody wanted to, get in contact with you, or maybe even secure your services in one way or the other, and then you also talked about the checklist earlier, how can they go about this? Please talk to us about this.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can find me on almost any social media platform, but I'm on Facebook most, so you can find me there. And my website is fearlessbusinessboss.com. So easy enough to find. And there's the free offer for the checklist is on there for scaling. And on any page, you can book a mini session with me if you like.
That's fantastic. I hope you heard the name, Fearless Business Boss. She is a fearless business boss. I can tell you that. Thank you very, very much, Tammy. Now, on behalf of myself and everybody that has joined this conversation and will still get the replay because the replay will still be available, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your very, very busy and tight schedule to be able to join us today. You've given us so much value. Like I said, my own personal notes are full, and I'm sure every other person is feeling the same way as well. So thank you very, very much, Tammy. And for any other person that is still here right now, thank you for being a part of this conversation. And like I said, just in case you're anywhere in the world that you haven't heard, just in a couple of days' time, we will be having the Impact Educators Conference. Sorry, Impact Leadership Conference, pardon me. The Impact Leadership Conference in the city of Birmingham. Mr. Yatta, I see you on YouTube. I mean, Tammy, a lot of people are loving your conversation on YouTube. Yeah, Mr. Yatta, Kahu says, educating and inspiring. Thank you. All right. So, in case you haven't heard, the Impact Leadership Conference is holding on Saturday in the city of Birmingham. If you are in Birmingham, and you can be a part of that, don't miss that. Our seats are filling up very quickly, so go quickly, secure your registration. But just in case you can't make it to Birmingham City for that day, go ahead, secure your virtual experience, and you'll be a part of us. And guess what? We'll be having amazing speakers, just like Tammy has had here. But right now, at that time, we're giving you a dose. To be honest, we have 9 speakers, including myself on that day. So you're going to be having a full dose on how to accelerate growth in your career, accelerate growth in your business, accelerate growth in your personal life. It's going to be a full dose. Someone should be dropping the link for you right now, or you can do us the DM to be a part of that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been amazing doing this with you. Until the next time I come your way, remember, there's greatness on your inside and the world is waiting for you to birth and manifest your greatness. Go out there and be profitable, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.